The massive Imperial flagship Eternal Dynasty cut through the darkness of space, its gleaming silver hull adorned with the 7-star insignia of the Galactic Empire. Admiral Park stood on the command bridge, his tall frame silhouetted against the viewport as Earth came into view, a swirling blue marble that seemed insignificant among the thousands of worlds under Imperial control. "Primitive," muttered Park, adjusting his ceremonial collar. "Class 3 civilization at best, standard. Protocol will suffice." The diplomatic fleet arrayed behind his flagship consisted of 12 vessels, 10 of which were heavily armed battlecruisers. The Empire's approach to diplomacy had remained unchanged for 3 millennia: overwhelm, impress, then subjugate. Communications. Officer Sung, prepare the standard greeting package. Tactical Officer Nam, maintain defensive posture, but ensure weapon systems are visibly powered. Let's remind these humans what they're dealing with. "Admiral," said Sung, her voice betraying surprise, "we're receiving a transmission in perfect Imperial standard." Park raised an eyebrow. Their language shouldn't have been deciphered so quickly. On screen, a human appeared, an older man with calm eyes and a composed expression. He wore a simple dark uniform with no adornment except a small blue pin shaped like Earth. "Greetings, Admiral Park of the Eternal Dynasty. I am Director Kim of Earth's United Council. We've been expecting your arrival." Park concealed his surprise. They knew his name and ship designation before any formal introduction. "Director Kim," Park replied with practiced superiority, "the Galactic Empire brings greetings to your world. We've observed your civilization and deemed it worthy of contact. This is a momentous day for your species." The human's expression didn't change. No awe, no gratitude, only a slight, almost imperceptible smile. "We appreciate the gesture, Admiral. However, after careful consideration of the Empire's objectives and methods, we must respectfully suggest that your forces withdraw from this sector entirely." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. Several officers turned to look at Park, whose face darkened. "Perhaps there's been a misunderstanding," Park said, steel entering his voice. "The Empire doesn't withdraw. We represent over 10,000 star systems and hundreds of species. Your world stands to benefit greatly from Imperial protection." Director Kim nodded patiently, as though speaking to a child. "We understand what the Empire offers, Admiral, and we understand what it takes in return. Our suggestion stands." Officer Lee, the Empire's chief diplomat, stepped forward, a small, precise man with calculating eyes. "Director Kim, perhaps you misunderstand the nature of this meeting. This isn't a negotiation between equals." "We harbor no such illusions." "Officer Lee," Kim replied, causing Lee to stiffen at the use of his name. "We simply believe it would be better for all involved if your empire maintained distance from our sector." Park gestured for the transmission to be muted. "What is the meaning of this? How do they know our names and ranks?" Lee's expression had grown troubled. "Unknown, Admiral. Their confidence is unusual. Most species show appropriate deference upon first contact. Meanwhile, deep within the ship's quantum network, unseen by the Imperial crew, lines of code shifted and moved. Human intelligence operatives had infiltrated the Imperial systems weeks ago when the fleet first entered the solar system's outer boundary. Earth's cyber division, led by the brilliant Commander Ryu, had broken the supposedly unbreakable encryption of the Empire in just 3 days. Back on the bridge, Park unmuted the transmission. "Director Kim, perhaps a demonstration of Imperial capabilities would help clarify your situation." Kim's expression finally changed to something resembling pity. "That won't be necessary, Admiral. We're already familiar with your capabilities and limitations." At that moment, a junior officer rushed to Park's side, face pale. "Admiral, our secure databases are being accessed. Someone's inside our systems." Park kept his expression neutral, despite the alarm racing through him. No civilization had ever breached Imperial technology before. "Director Kim," Park said coldly, "these hostile actions will not be tolerated." "Not hostile, Admiral. Precautionary. Just as your 12 ships, including the 10 battlecruisers with charged weapons, are precautionary." Kim's eyes seemed to look through Park. We simply wish to understand who we're dealing with. In the background, Park could see other humans working calmly at stations. None showed fear. A planet of less than 8 billion souls facing the might of an empire spanning thousands of worlds, yet they seemed utterly untroubled. "You would do well to reconsider your position," Park said. "The Empire is not accustomed to rejection." "Neither are we, Admiral," Kim replied. "Your species believes itself to be the apex predator of the galaxy. We don't wish to disillusion you of that notion, which is precisely why we suggest you leave." Officer Lee approached Park again, whispering urgently, "Admiral, their behavior defies all predictive models. Something isn't right here." Park nodded slightly. The humans' confidence wasn't mere bravado. They knew something the Empire didn't. "We will continue this discussion tomorrow," Park announced. "Consider carefully the benefits of Imperial membership." "We look forward to it," Director Kim replied. "And, Admiral, the strange robotic sentries you positioned at the edge of our system, we've taken the liberty of deactivating them. We value our privacy." The transmission ended, leaving Park staring at a blank screen, completely unaware that humanity's first response to discovering alien life decades ago hadn't been fear or celebration, but preparation. The Imperial shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, its adaptive shielding glowing bright orange against the heat of entry. Commander Kang watched through the viewport, her fingers drumming against the polished obsidian of her command chair. The diplomatic vessel was smaller than the massive warships waiting in orbit, but still dwarfed anything humans had built, or so the Empire believed. "Final approach to their designated landing zone," announced the pilot, a reptilian Seric whose scaled hands moved deftly across the controls. "Unusual that they've invited us to their primary governance facility rather than a remote location." Kang nodded. Most species feared Imperial power enough to keep visitors far from their centers of authority. These humans were either foolish or dangerously confident. The shuttle touched down on a landing pad atop a gleaming building in what humans called Geneva. Kang adjusted her formal uniform, decorated with the medals of 20 successful planetary integrations. The diplomatic team behind her, 12 specialists from across the Empire, straightened their postures as the shuttle doors opened with a hydraulic hiss. Representative Shin awaited them on the platform, flanked by only 2 guards. No weapons were visible, though Kang's scanners detected energy signatures suggesting concealed defensive systems throughout the area. "Commander Kang," Shin greeted with a small bow. "Welcome to Earth." "Representative Shin," Kang replied, not returning the gesture. "Your hospitality is noted and will be considered in your evaluation for Imperial membership." If Shin was offended by her condescension, he showed no sign of it. "Please follow me. The Council is eager to discuss the proposal you sent ahead." The Imperial team followed Shin through corridors of polished stone and glass. Other humans, they passed, simply nodded respectfully or continued their work. None gawked or showed the wide-eyed wonder, typical of species encountering Imperial representatives for the first time. They entered a circular chamber where 7 humans sat at a curved table. The walls displayed real-time images of Earth's cities, oceans, and wilder regions. Kang noted that military installations were conspicuously absent from these displays. After formal introductions, Kang activated her presentation device. A holographic display materialized in the center of the room, showing the Empire's vast territories. "The Empire encompasses over 10,000 systems," she began. "Under our guidance, member worlds receive technological advancement, protection, and the benefits of galactic trade." "And in return?" asked Shin. "Reasonable resource contributions, cultural integration, and participation in our scientific advancement programs." Kang gestured, and the hologram shifted to show various alien species in research facilities. "Which brings me to our initial request." The hologram changed to display medical and biological schematics. "We require 200 human volunteers for baseline testing, standard procedure for all new species. The subjects will be well treated and returned within 1 standard year." A heavy silence fell over the room. Shin exchanged glances with his colleagues before responding. "That won't be possible, Commander." Kang's expression hardened. "This isn't a request that can be refused. All member species contribute to the Empire's understanding of galactic biology. We understand, Shin replied calmly. But Earth is not, and will not become, a member species. As Director Kim informed Admiral Park yesterday, we suggest the Empire withdraw from our sector entirely. Kang's translator clicked as she switched to the formal Imperial dialect, signaling her displeasure. Perhaps I haven't made clear the consequences of non-compliance. The Empire doesn't accept rejection. Shin's expression remained unchanged. We are not rejecting friendship, Commander, merely subjugation. At that moment, Science Officer Bay approached Kang and whispered urgently in her ear. Bay had been surreptitiously scanning the humans throughout the meeting. Something wrong? Commander, asked Shin. Nothing that concerns you, Kang replied curtly. We will take a brief recess. The Imperial team withdrew to an antechamber where Bay immediately activated a privacy field around them. Commander, my scans reveal anomalies that directly contradict our preliminary intelligence, said Bay, her voice tense as she projected biological data from her wrist device. These humans aren't the fragile Class 3 species we categorize them. Can also explain, demanded Kang. Their cellular regeneration rate exceeds all known humanoid species. Their bone density suggests they evolved in a higher gravity environment than their planet actually has. Their neurochemistry shows patterns we've only seen in apex predator species from Crisis Worlds. A murmur went through the Imperial team. As Bay continued, and this is most concerning. My atmospheric analysis indicates they're breathing a nitrogen-oxygen mix that would be toxic to 70% of sentient species. They're living in conditions that would kill most intelligent life in the galaxy. That can't be right, said the team xenobiologist. Check your equipment. I've run 3 confirmations, Bay insisted. And there's more. Their psychological profiles don't match any predictive models. When I simulated standard Imperial intimidation tactics, their projected response wasn't fear or submission. It was calculated counter-aggression. Kang processed this information with growing concern. Why wasn't this discovered in our preliminary surveys? Because they appear unremarkable until you look deeper, said Bay. It's as if they've evolved specifically to seem less dangerous than they are. Back in the council chamber, the humans waited patiently, showing none of the anxiety most species displayed when Imperial representatives left suddenly. When Kang returned, she tried a different approach. Perhaps we can arrange a more limited, scientific exchange. Our position remains unchanged, Shin responded. We aren't interested in Imperial membership or providing test subjects. We request that your forces leave our sector. Kang's patience evaporated. Then you leave us no choice but to demonstrate why no species refuses the Empire. Shin sighed, seeming genuinely disappointed. We had hoped to avoid this approach. Please understand that whatever happens next is not what we wanted. Later that day, aboard the Imperial command ship, Kang reported to General Han, who had arrived from the Empire's Central Fleet. These humans are hiding something, Kang concluded. They show none of the expected behaviors for a species of their development level. General Han, a veteran of countless conquest campaigns, dismissed her concerns with a wave of his 6-fingered hand. Every species believes itself special until shown otherwise. Prepare a demonstration of Imperial power. Nothing destructive. Target one of their uninhabited satellites. Show them what real technology looks like. As commands went out to the fleet, Science Officer Bay made one final desperate attempt. General, my analysis strongly suggests caution. There are too many inconsistencies. Enough, Han interrupted. The Empire has encountered 10,000 species. None have withstood us. These humans will learn their place like all the others. As night fell over Earth, satellites tracked. The Imperial fleet moving into demonstration formation. In Geneva, Representative Shin stood alone on a balcony, looking up at the stars with ancient sadness in his eyes. They never listen, he whispered to himself. They never, ever listen. Captain Doe stood proudly on the command bridge of the Imperial. Dreadnought Inevitable Conquest, the most advanced warship in the demonstration fleet. Beside him, 2 sister ships, the Glorious Submission and Emperor's Will, moved into attack formation around Earth's moon. Their massive hulls gleamed in the reflected sunlight, weapon ports opening like hungry mouths, all systems at combat. "Readiness, Captain," reported his weapons officer, a four-armed Krex whose specialized appendages danced across multiple control panels simultaneously. "Excellent," Doe replied, his voice betraying his excitement. This was his first command of a multi-vessel operation. "Targeting solutions, locked on the uninhabited satellite designated Moon. Impact will be visible from the human homeworld, but cause no actual damage. Perfect demonstration of precision and power." Doe nodded in satisfaction. "Communications, ensure all human frequencies are open. I want them to hear the countdown." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, their various species unified by imperial training and purpose. The Empire's strength wasn't just its technology, but its diversity harnessed toward a single will: domination. "Begin transmission to Earth authorities," Doe commanded. "Sir," interrupted the sensor officer, her voice rising, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from—" She never finished her sentence. A pulse of blue-white light silently enveloped the inevitable conquest. For a heartbeat, the massive warship seemed outlined in brilliant luminescence, then vanished completely. On the glorious submission, Commander Gill watched in horror as their sister ship disappeared. "What happened?" he demanded. "Weapons discharge? Malfunction?" "No weapon signature detected," stammered his science officer. "It's simply gone." "Impossible. Nothing can—" The same silent blue light washed over the glorious submission, and it too disappeared without trace. Aboard the Emperor's will, the crew panicked. The ship veered sharply, attempting to retreat, but before it could engage its main drives, the blue radiance claimed it as well. From Earth observation centers, humans watched calmly as the Imperial demonstration force vanished. No celebrations broke out, no cheers of victory. Instead, there was a solemn silence and a flurry of quiet communications. Admiral Park's face had drained of all color as he watched the sensor recordings for the fifth time. 3 of the Empire's most advanced warships, gone without firing. A shot. No debris, no distress signals, just erased. "This isn't possible," he whispered. The command center of the flagship was deathly quiet, officers frozen at their stations in shock. "Admiral," said his communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's a request for a meeting." Park could barely focus on the words. "Where? When?" "They suggest neutral space, beyond lunar orbit. 1 hour from now. Neutral." "Space," Park repeated bitterly. There was nothing neutral about this situation anymore. "Prepare my shuttle." Strategic Officer Moon approached cautiously. "Admiral, I must strongly advise against this meeting. We should withdraw immediately and request reinforcements from the core worlds." Park shot him a withering glare. "And tell the Emperor what? That we fled because 3 of our most powerful ships disappeared? That primitives scared us away?" "With respect, sir, these are clearly not primitives." Park ignored him and strode toward the shuttle bay. The meeting took place aboard a small, unassuming craft that had emerged from Earth. Its simple exterior belied the impossible technology within. As Park's shuttle docked, he noticed there were no visible seams or joints. In the craft's smooth hull, Earth's diplomat June greeted the Admiral with a respectful bow. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes that somehow made Park even more unsettled. "What have you done with my ships?" Park demanded without preamble. June's expression shifted to one of genuine regret. "They're unharmed, Admiral. Displaced, but safe." "Displaced? Where? In what you might call a pocket dimension? A holding area. We can return them whenever you wish, crew intact." Park struggled to comprehend this. The Empire had encountered many advanced civilizations, but none with technology that could simply remove capital ships from existence. This was a defensive measure, June continued softly. "Programmed to activate only if weapons were prepared against Earth or its protectorates." "Protectorates," Park echoed. June nodded and gestured to a viewing portal. The wall seemed to dissolve, showing not the stars outside but images from across the galaxy, worlds the Empire had catalogued as primitive or unworthy of contact. The vril of Epsilon Indi, the aquatic Novan, the crystalline entities you call mineral anomalies in the Cygnus arm, June explained. "We found them before you did. They asked for protection, not subjugation." "Impossible," Park whispered. "Some of these worlds are thousands of light years apart." You can't have reached them all, June smiled sadly. There's much the Empire doesn't understand about humanity, Admiral. We didn't expand through conquest. We explored through curiosity. With a gesture, June activated a holographic display, unlike anything Park had seen. Instead of the crude projections used by Imperial technology, this showed perfect living images of ships, human ships, that defied physics as the Empire understood it. This is our actual fleet, June said quietly. What you've seen in Earth orbit are outdated vessels we maintain for local operations. We've had faster-than-light travel for over 3 centuries. Dimensional phasing for 2. Park felt his world collapsing around him. The Empire spans thousands of systems. We have technologies that we surpassed long ago, June interrupted gently. Admiral, we've been watching the Empire expand for generations. We've stayed hidden, not out of fear, but concern for what our revelation would do to galactic stability. Images shifted to show technology Park couldn't even comprehend. Energy systems that drew power from subspace, beings that appeared to be conscious artificial intelligence working alongside humans, ships that could fold space itself. Why reveal yourselves now? Park asked, finding his voice. Because you found Earth, June replied simply, and the Empire never stops at observation. Your history shows what comes next, demands for resources, for test subjects, for submission. We cannot allow that, not for ourselves and not for the worlds under our protection. Park's strategic mind finally grasped the full implication. You're saying Earth stands between the Empire and further expansion in this sector. Yes, and we're asking you, peacefully, to withdraw. Strategist Moon, who had insisted on accompanying Park, finally spoke. Admiral, I recommend immediate withdrawal. These humans possess technology beyond our comprehension. Park's pride warred with his reason. The Empire does not retreat. Then the Empire has never faced a species like us, June said, sorrow in his voice. Please understand, Admiral, we take no pleasure in this demonstration. War between us would be devastating, not just for you, but for the stability of this entire galactic arm. Park stared at the images of technology that made the Empire's greatest achievements look like a child's toys. His duty to the Empire warred with the instinct for survival. I need to consult with Imperial Command, he finally said. June nodded understandingly. Of course. We'll return your 3 ships as a gesture of good faith. But Admiral, his eyes grew serious. Please make them understand. We don't want conflict. We simply want to be left alone, us and those under our protection. As Park returned to his shuttle, Moon whispered urgently, Admiral, we must withdraw, immediately. This time Park didn't argue. Intelligence Officer Yang hunched over her workstation aboard the Imperial research vessel, Silent Observer, hidden in the shadow of a gas giant 6 planets away from Earth. The ship's stealth systems were operating at maximum capacity, making it virtually invisible to conventional detection methods. Yang hadn't slept in 3 standard days, her eyes bloodshot as she combed through the data stolen from human information networks. This can't be right, she muttered, rubbing her temple with a 3-fingered hand. Unlike most Imperial officers, who came from the core species, Yang was a Nuvari, a race known for analytical abilities and photographic memory. Run the evolutionary comparison again. The ship's biological computation matrix hummed softly. Analysis confirmed, Intelligence Officer Yang. Human evolutionary patterns match no known template in Imperial records. Yang leaned back in her chair, staring at the holographic display hovering before her. It showed human physiological data, compared against the thousands of sapient species catalogued by the Empire. Most intelligent species evolved through one of several common pathways: specialized tool users, hive mind cooperators, or environmental manipulators. Humans fit none of these patterns. They're anomalies, she whispered. Complete evolutionary. Anomalies? The door to her research chamber slid open and Commander Yoon entered. He was a tall, severe man from one of the Empire's militant founder species, his skin a pale blue that contrasted sharply with his black uniform. Tell me you have something, Yang, he said without preamble. The Emperor demands answers about these humans. Yang gestured to her displays. I have something, Commander, but you won't like it. She activated a sequence showing primitive humans hunting on the ancient savanna. The images, reconstructed from human historical and anthropological records, showed hairless bipeds pursuing large animals across open plains under a blazing sun. Most predator species in the galaxy are ambush hunters, or pack hunters who rely on overwhelming force, Yang explained. Humans are something our xenobiologists have never documented before, persistence hunters. The display showed humans trailing wounded prey for hours, even days, never stopping, never resting. They don't kill with claws or overwhelming strength, Yang continued. They exhaust their prey. They keep coming until their target collapses from heat and exhaustion. No other intelligent species evolved this way. It's disturbing. This is what has you so concerned? Yoon asked dismissively. Primitive hunting techniques? It's not just their hunting, Commander. It's everything about them. Yang switched displays to show human medical data. They can heal from injuries that would kill most species. Their bodies are constantly replacing cells. They routinely survive. Trauma that should be fatal. She brought up comparative dietary analysis. They can consume substances toxic to most species. Their digestive systems can process incredible variety. They've evolved to eat almost anything organic. And their psychology... She hesitated. What about their psychology? Yoon pressed. They thrive on stress, Yang said quietly. Most species break under pressure. Humans become more focused, more determined. In crisis situations, they perform better, not worse. Yoon's expression darkened as he began to understand the implications. And there's one more thing, Yang added, pulling up. Historical records. They've survived at least 5 near-extinction events on their homeworld. Climate shifts, pandemics, even self-inflicted nuclear contamination. Each time, they've not only survived, but emerged stronger. Commander Yoon absorbed this information in silence before activating his own data projection. My findings complement yours, Officer Yang, but I've been looking at their interstellar activities rather than their biology. His display showed star charts spanning several galactic arms, with dozens of worlds highlighted in blue. These are worlds the Empire classified as containing pre-spaceflight civilizations or non-intelligent life forms. According to human diplomatic records I've accessed, they've been in contact with all of them. But instead of conquering or exploiting these worlds as any rational species would, they've been protecting them, Yang finished, studying the display. From us. Precisely. They've established a network of protected species across multiple sectors. Some of these worlds contain resources the Empire has sought for centuries, yet humans place no demands on them. They simply watch over them. Yang brought up an intercepted human communication that had caught her attention. Listen to this recording from their diplomatic archives. It's a conversation between human representatives and the crystalline entities from the Cygnus arm, the ones we dismissed as mineral formations. The recording played, translated by Imperial software, human diplomat. We understand the Empire. Believes your kind to be non-sentient. Crystalline entity. Yes, they harvested many of our consciousness nodes before departing. The Grand Imperial fleet hung in space like a constellation of artificial stars, 117 warships arranged in the traditional arrowhead formation that had brought terror to 1,000 worlds. But today, for the first time in recorded Imperial history, these ships were not preparing to advance. They were withdrawing. On the command deck of the flagship Eternal Dominion, Emperor Sul himself stood in brooding silence. He had traveled from the Imperial throne world to witness this unprecedented retreat, his scaled face unreadable as he watched the blue-green planet on the main view screen. All ships report ready for synchronized jump, Your Supremacy, reported. Fleet Commander Gill, unable to fully hide the shame in his voice, the Emperor didn't respond immediately. His 6-fingered hand tightened around the ceremonial staff of office, a staff that had pointed toward countless worlds and condemned them to submission. This decision shames 10,000 years of Imperial expansion, he finally said, his voice surprisingly soft. Yet I find I cannot dispute the logic. Show me the human representative again. The screen shifted to show Ambassador Choi waiting patiently aboard her small diplomatic vessel. Unlike the ornate, intimidating design of imperial ships, the human craft was elegantly minimal, its organic curves suggesting both aesthetic consideration and deadly efficiency. "Open communication," ordered the Emperor. Ambassador Choi's face appeared on the screen. She was an older human female with silver-streaked black hair and eyes that reflected wisdom rather than fear. She bowed respectfully. "Emperor Sul, I appreciate... Are you taking the time to speak directly before your departure?" The Emperor studied her carefully. "In 10 millennia, the Empire has never retreated. You understand the significance of this moment?" "We do," Choi replied simply, "and we recognize the wisdom and courage such a decision requires." Murmurs rippled through the Imperial command staff at this unexpected acknowledgement. The Emperor raised a hand for silence. "Your species presents a paradox, Ambassador. You possess technology that could conquer half the galaxy, yet you hide on a single world and protect species that offer you nothing in return. You could have destroyed our ships, yet you merely displaced them. Explain this contradiction." Choi smiled gently. "What you see as contradiction, Emperor Sul, we see as evolution. Humanity's history is written in blood and conquest, not unlike your empires. We fought ourselves for millennia. We nearly destroyed our world several times. We understand the path you're on because we walked it ourselves." She gestured, and beside her appeared a holographic display showing ancient human warfare, then growing more modern, finally depicting global devastation. "Our strength isn't in our technology, Emperor. It's in the lessons we learned from nearly destroying ourselves. We discovered that true power comes not from domination, but from connection. The species you deemed unworthy of contact. They've taught us more than we could have learned in 1,000 years of conquest." The Emperor's expression remained impassive, but his inner eyelids flickered, a sign of deep thought among his kind. "A philosophy that serves the weak," he said dismissively. "The galaxy respects only strength." "Perhaps," agreed Choi surprisingly. "But there are many kinds of strength, Emperor. The strength to conquer is one. The strength to show mercy when you could destroy, that's another entirely." She pressed a control, and new images appeared. Thousands of Imperial citizens from dozens of species, living on worlds throughout the Empire. "We've studied your empire for generations. Your citizens aren't happy. Your resources grow thinner with each expansion. Your military consumes everything you conquer, demanding more. It's unsustainable." The Emperor's tail lashed once in irritation. "You presume much, human." "We offer an alternative," Choi continued steadily. "Leave this sector now, yes, but we invite you to return, not as conquerors, but as equals, when you're ready to speak of cooperation instead of submission." With another gesture, she revealed schematics for technologies beyond even the Empire's understanding: clean energy systems, medical advances, faster propulsion. "These would be our gifts upon your return, freely given, not taken." The silence on the Imperial bridge was absolute. Officers stared in undisguised longing at advances their scientists had theorized but never achieved. "Why would you share such power?" the Emperor asked, genuine confusion in his ancient voice. "Because keeping it to ourselves serves no one." Choi answered simply, "Because the galaxy thrives through cooperation, not competition. Because after all our mistakes, we learned that the greatest conquest is overcoming one's own worst instincts." She paused, then added gently, "And because we hope to never reveal what humanity becomes when truly threatened. It's not something we're proud of." Something in her tone, a profound sadness mixed with warning, sent a chill through even the Emperor's cold blood. "You speak in riddles, Ambassador." "No riddles, Emperor, just history. Our history. We evolved as the creatures who never stopped coming, who endured pain, exhaustion, and loss but kept advancing. The last thing you see on the battlefield before darkness takes you." Her voice grew quieter. "We pray we never have to become those creatures again." The Emperor studied her for a long moment before nodding once. "We will consider your invitation. The Empire withdraws from this sector as agreed." As the transmission ended, Admiral Park approached the Emperor and knelt. "Your Supremacy, I offer my life in atonement for this disgrace." The Emperor regarded his Admiral thoughtfully. "No, Admiral. Instead, you will prepare a full report on these humans. Every detail, every insight. I want to understand what we encountered here. 3 days later, in his private chamber aboard the Imperial Throne World Carrier, the Emperor read Admiral Park's classified final report. Most of it contained expected technical details and strategic assessments. But it was the Admiral's conclusion that caused even the ancient Emperor to pause. They told us to flee not because they feared us, but because they knew exactly what would happen if they were forced to fight. The humans weren't protecting themselves from us. They were protecting us from what they would become if threatened. In 10,000 years of Imperial history, we have conquered countless species who feared us. We have never before encountered a species who pitied us enough to spare us from themselves. The Emperor closed the report and gazed out at the stars. For the first time in millennia, he felt something unfamiliar, doubt about the Imperial way. And something else, something even more alien to his nature, curiosity about a different path. Across the galaxy, on Earth, Ambassador Choi stood on a high balcony watching the night sky. The Imperial fleet had disappeared hours ago, jumping to hyperspace. Beside her stood Director Kim, his face solemn. "Do you think they'll return as friends?" he asked quietly. Choi smiled faintly. "Eventually. They have a long journey ahead. Not through space, but through their own history and assumptions, but they will. And when they do, the galaxy will be better for it." Above them, the stars shone peacefully, witnessing the moment when the greatest empire in known space retreated, not in fear but in dawning wisdom, the end.